left.
The liberation of mutant kind has begun.
Welcome to the future.
Who's this clown?
Not clown, Joker.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Nobody tampers with the equipment except Tony Stark.
Good idea.
United, the Avengers are strong.
Hawkeye, hands off.
Fool! Have you forgotten my invincible magnetic power?
Not this time, Magneto. My mutant brain senses danger.
Something unseen is slowly spreading its poison, edging tempers.
Think carefully before you do this.
You filthy criminals.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You unlock this door with the...
What up, YouTube? What's going on, Jaden, Patty, John, Joe? How's it all? How y'all hanging? Welcome to episode 172 of Two Fat Guys Pull List. And Jim is flying solo, as we said before. Nate and his girlfriend are at a concert. So we will be flying solo with Jim. But it's all right. I'll take care of you. This flight's going to be easy. It's going to be smooth. Not as many books, because I didn't read all the books that Nate has, obviously. So those books won't be on the list. But we'll have the books that I read. And then if any other books you guys want to talk about in chat at the same time, we can talk about those too. But before we get the show started, we got to talk about our show sponsor, which is Collected Comics and Games here in the DFW area. It is an amazing LCS that me and Nate get our comics from. Ron and Brett have 3 locations. One, excuse me, my eyes are kind of like, that's crazy. One in Holton City, one in Fort Worth, and one in Keller. Or I guess Irving, yeah, those places. Anyway, it's a great store, love it. If you are in the DFW area, I encourage you to go check out Collected Comics and Games in their 3 locations. They got a great and wide variety of things that you can pick up. Anything from new comic books, back issues, card games, board games, action figures, models, manga, dice, D&D books, posters, plushies. All kinds of great stuff over there. So make sure to head over to Collected Comics and Games in the DFW area and go check out their 3 stores. If you're not, I hadn't checked my buttons, so yep, there it worked. They have a great website called staycollected.com. Love for you to go over there if you're not in the DFW area, and you can get all those crazy things I just talked about right here, including variant covers and incentive covers. So go check out staycollected.com if you get a chance and go buy something. It's awesome. Also, we got to talk about our milestone giveaway, which we're on the road to 1,250 subscribers. And when we hit that goal, we're giving away a cool slab. It is a Jim Chung signed Uncanny X-Men #1 9.8 CGC grade, signed by the artist. We're giving this away at 1,250 subscribers. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and give us a like. It'd be much appreciated as we are on that road to get that crazy sub. Once we hit that goal, we have some other incentives that we have talked about in previous streams. But the biggest incentive that we're giving away when we hit 2,000 subscribers is a Thor #1 Nick Klein sketch variant signed by the great Donnie Cates. That's right. When we hit 2,000 subs, we're giving away this slab. So make sure if you're not subbed, you gotta hit that sub if you want to try to win this slab. It's a crazy cool slab that we're giving away at 2,000 subs. So, all right, that's gonna do it for the business. Let's get to the show. But before we do that, let's talk to chat. How's it going, chat? I just finished up 81 Dodge B250 camper van, and now I gotta order my stickers so I can load them into the 80s shag machine. Nice, Patty. Yeah, get you them stickers for sure. Joe, Johnny Boy, what up? What's your pick of the week? Hope everyone is having a great week. Survivalist, what up? Ultimate Spider-Man #4 was pick for me this week. I know it didn't have all the smashing and crashing it did, but I did dig the Harry and Gwen idea. No, I did too. It wasn't my pick of the week, but I did enjoy it. 7, what's up, guys? Tracked down a Dracula #1 in Uncanny Valley this weekend. Thanks again for the great recommendations. What up, Stefan? Joe, I finally got some reading done, and wow, this month's been good. But Avengers Twilight is my pick of the month. HJ is about to smash that ass. No shit, man. It was awesome. John, thank you for the super chat. I got to read half my books, but in the end, the end of Pine and Merrimack, I didn't read it. Nate did, so I'll have to ask him. But that's awesome. Again, thank you so much for the super chat, John. Appreciate it. All right, let's get to it. First up, our independents, and I only read one independent this week, and that was Dawn Runner issue number 2. This is my pick of the week. I really, really, really liked this book.
That's Chip's pick of the week.
You know, the art style is obviously very fluid and freeform, and I am enjoying that. But I can see that some people may find that a little annoying. But I really do like this story. It does have an element of Evangelion in the hook that we found out, which we kind of knew going into issue 2, which is that there is this soldier and his, we come to find, brain as part of the hub of this massive mech suit that our pilot is piloting. Pilot that's piloting. And so I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. It kind of called it, but there's still kind of this sense of mystery. You know, it would appear that the people that built this mech don't even quite understand what it's all capable of, especially with that human element of there being a soldier's brain and, or I guess soul, embodied into the machine. And we've got this, you know, this pilot who clearly is forming a connection with the soldier. Whether it's genuine or not, it really doesn't matter, but she's finding it hard to disassociate with the concept of the fact that there is another human being attached to this mech. And I dig it. So we've got a multi-pillar story here with, you know, the big monsters attacking Earth, but then we've got, you know, how we're defending it, and then what is being used and what was put into the defense. And basically we're using soldiers, dead soldiers, or at least for this mech, one specific soldier to power the machine. And now there is a mixture of personalities when the pilot is in the machine engaging. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I am very, you know, I'm obviously interested to see what Nate thought. I'm sure, if I had to guess, I think he's out on this book, but that's just my guess. We'll have to wait and see when he, you know, next week when he gets back and we can ask him. But I don't know. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was really fun. I'm all in, especially with the fact that I don't have a lot of Ram V on my on my show list or my pull list anymore. So to have him back is very welcoming. So I enjoyed it. I don't know if any of y'all read it. Make sure to let me know. Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, John, you know, I don't want to I'm obviously not forcing you to pick up anything, but I liked it. This is issue number 2. Joe. You know, if you're into Evangelion, then I think that there are very similar story points and plot points that I think you'll enjoy in this book. You know, there was definitely a ton of action in this book, but there was a lot of backstory and setup as well. You know, we're definitely building to something really cool here. I enjoy it. I mean, I'm a big fan of like giant mechs in kaiju battles, so like this was gonna be a winner for me already. But the fact that we've got this plot point of it not just being a standard giant robot suit, that there's actually some personality in it, and there's some actual, you know, we actually have a story point or plot point that connects it to something more than just smash the city, protect the city. You know, we've got this identity crisis within the mech, which I think is pretty cool. So Dawn Runner issue number 2 is my pick of the week. I can't say anything. You know, everything, there were some really good books this week for sure. But this one took the cake for me. Joe, I really need more independence on my pull. That it's caps and tights. LOL. I mean, check it out for sure. I got issue 1, but I had to make some cuts. I got 18 books this week. Dude, that's no joke. I know I have made some cuts. Because there's just so many damn books, especially with what's coming up in the summer. And I'm not like Blood Hunt, for instance. Like, I am not picking up all the tie-ins. I'm doing just Blood Hunt And like if there's a blood hunt tie-in within the books that I'm already reading, great. But I am not going out of my way. There's just too many comics, man. There's just too many. That's a lot, bro. That's a beefy haul. That's right, Joe. I'll get it tomorrow. Right on, John. All right, let's jump over to my other independent of the week, and that was Duke, issue number 5. I enjoyed it. I think overall I really liked the series, but it's obvious that we're setting up for a pretty big Energon mix-up here, with the G.I. Joes kind of reinstating themselves and going after Transformers because they just don't know. They have no point of reference outside of Starscream showing up and killing a bunch of soldiers. Like, that's the reference for the G.I. Joes in the sense of Transformers. So, this whole book with Duke, essentially fighting his own government and then being reinstated again, but to go after the Transformers, it was fun. I think we'll get a lot more information when we get our free comic book day books, the Energon universe, and then the Energon universe special that comes out like a week after. But overall, I'm digging this. It's very obvious that Kirkman and all the other writers are obviously involved in this idea of setting up this G.I. Joe Transformers Void Rivals crossover that I think will, I think I read somewhere, it might have been CBR, that, we're getting ready to show there's going to be a G.I. Joe Transformer crossover movie in like 2025 or 2026. So get pumped, And so all this that we're reading, like I'm sure that the speculation will be that the storylines will be coming from this Energon universe. So pick up your issues now. Okay. Just pick up your issues now. Do it. But overall, I liked Duke. I think the art style was really fun. Even though I'm not as versed as I should be in G.I. Joe lore, I still was able to follow the book. So we'll see. I mean, I know that at the end of this one, we got teased for a Destro book, and I don't know if I'm picking that one up. That's going to be a game time decision. But overall, I thought it was good. I thought it was fun. Yeah. The chat. Can your shop let you leave some books in your box that you can get on a light week? Sometimes. I think you can do like a week pass and then pick up the next week. Empire, sucks to be you guys. I keep my pull list to about 5 to 7 titles. I wish I could do that. Joe, I've had a hard 50 per week, so there are a week or two that I can push the overflow from heavy week to still make my $50 limit. I like that idea. I'm almost certain Ron has something like that where you don't have to pick up everything. You can kind of spread it around. 7, the issue made me pumped for the Destro and Scarlet books. Yeah. I know I'm doing Scarlet. Destro will be a game time, even though he was pretty dope. I did like what they did with him and where they're going with it. It sucks for my wallet for sure. Jim, are you and Nate interested in the Feral at all? I don't know. Let me double check that. Just because I want to make sure I know what we're talking about here. Oh, Feral the book. I don't think I am. I'm not sure if Nate is or not. I've seen it, and I know that you've recommended it a couple times, so maybe I need to check it out. I'm loving Feral. The first issue was a little slow, but the second issue was great. I just ordered Stray Dogs from the same creative team. I remember Stray Dogs for sure. Isn't Feral like a Stray Dogs like continuation, or is it like a side story? I don't remember. Remind me. All right, let's keep moving on. We got, jumping over to Marvel, we have the Avengers issue number 13. Just a continuation and closure of the fall of the House of X when it comes to Avengers involvement. Like, it did feel very like, oh, we're done now, and then here comes Blood Hunt. Like, literally, that's how the issue ended. And it was a confirmation that obviously Orcus gets defeated. It felt a little anticlimactic, especially because, like, I think Kieran Gillen is over, on his end, kind of really building up this big ending. And then you've got McKay, and I'm not saying McKay is wrong for this. I just think McKay was painted in a corner where he just had to write a couple tie-ins and then be done with it. And so his involvement just feels very rushed and kind of like, hey, just do this. And you know, I think the characters were written fine, but overall, I just, you know, there's times when we praise these kind of self-contained tie-ins, and this is not one of them. I just didn't. It just wasn't strong. It feels very like it just interrupted, but at the same time, like, you know, flip the coin. We're always like, well, what are the Avengers doing? Iron Man's part of the Avengers. Why isn't he involved? So like, we got that involvement, right? But it just didn't feel connected. It didn't feel like what they did really mattered. But that's just an overall commentary to the plot point of the Avengers being involved in the X-Men comics. As a standalone, I think, again, it just shows how strong this team is, and how they work together and don't work together. I thought that was great. But, you know, these last two issues where they've been involved with the X-Men comics, they just feel kind of throwaway. And I will tell you, I'm very, very interested and excited to get into Blood Hunt, which I think we get next week. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I'm very interested to see where we go with that. All right, Daredevil, issue number 8, the oversized. I'll tell you right now, I kind of skimmed through the other stories. I know that, you know, and they looked fine and great, but I did like the fact that we actually got a continuation of our story from the other issues, which I was worried we weren't going to get because this was an anniversary oversized issue, and I felt like we weren't going to get anything, maybe a little sliver of storytelling on that end, but we got plenty of it here. And I think the biggest takeaway for me is that obviously Matt is still dealing with his lack of, what's the word I'm looking for? Compassion, the lack of wanting to go back to his old life, and it's still kind of seeping into his new life. You know, him obviously still having feelings for Elektra, him still having these kind of violent urges as the Daredevil. I dug it. I'm actually very impressed with this run. So I liked it. I didn't really have much high hopes for the book because of the fact that it was kind of being sold to us as like, you know, this oversized extra story issue, which it was, but we got I felt like we got a full issue from the main story, which I was pleasantly surprised because I was not expecting that. I was expecting just maybe a couple pictures here and there, and that would be, you know, picture couple of panels here and there of story, and then we'd move on to other creators. But we didn't. We got a full-on continuation of the story, and then we got the, you know, all the special stories from other creators, which was great. I will say I did not pick up this cover. I did indeed get the J. Scott Campbell cover, which looks amazing. Yeah, the cover sucked, but this cover is great. So this is the cover I ended up picking up. So you got to check that out. Joe says about Avengers, has Jed McKay's Avengers run seemed like a disappointment? It's time for the Avengers title to take a reset. I think it's had moments of greatness, but there have been so many of these little blips of tie-ins and one-shots that it just feels like its momentum has really slowed down. I wouldn't say it's a disappointment. And I think the only thing that may actually fulfill what you just said there, Joe, is if Blood Hunt feels unorganic. If it just feels, and it might, because it's literally starting next week. And the way they introduced the concept of Blood Hunt in the Avengers comics this last week was literally a page. They literally won the fight against Orcus, and then just immediately as they're having a barbecue and chilling, something is happening, and there's like Blood Hunt begins. So it may, you know, depending on how Blood Hunt goes, it could very well completely derail Avengers. I'm gonna go ahead and say no. I'm gonna be hopeful because it's McKay and he knows how to write. You know, I just think when he's put in a corner and is told, hey, you need to write these tie-ins, that's when the book kind of feels clunky. But I will say it does feel like when we got into this feeling of detachment is when we had that, even though a lot of people like the issue, was that one-shot issue with Jarvis showing up and the ship being attacked by, nano AI robots. Mark that one off on your bingo list. So I don't know. I used to hate big issues with former writers coming back because it derails the book. But after watching a podcast of older writers that say it honors for them to revive the characters they wrote for. Yeah. The Campbell cover is amazing. I think the Avengers title needs to be the name of the event when storytelling connects. I actually like the McKay's run so far, but better than Aaron's. I couldn't connect to that, but McKay speaks to me for some reason. Yeah, I liked Jason Aaron's run, but towards the end it got very loosey-goosey, and I like McKay's run, but it does feel like we shouldn't be already derailing the story with these little tie-ins. And so my worry is we're going to jump into Blood Hunt and just feel totally lost. That's probably what's going to happen. And that might be intentional. It might be this, you're supposed to feel like you're falling out of the sky and you don't know which direction is up because, they want to kind of Tarantino it and start from a different position within the story. So we'll have to wait and see. Reason most of the characters are already solo books and it's hard to take big risks. Jason just bought Daredevil 18. Hope to have Charlie Cox sign it. Not sure about the Blood Hunt storyline. Too soon to tell. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. I like McKay. I've loved a lot of the books that he's written, so I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll have to see. Did the Anna City story use Typhoid Mary? I don't remember. I didn't read. That's the thing. I didn't read it. I don't remember seeing her. I'll say that. I don't remember seeing her. Oh, I will say, seeing the Kingpin being reestablished as a villain, that to me is even more of a sign of this is kind of like a hard reset for all these characters because he kind of got this redemption with being with the mutants, and now that the mutants are kind of going to shit, it's like, okay, we're going to reestablish Kingpin as the bad guy, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's like when you take big risks and big swings and then it's suddenly we're back to the status quo, it kind of seems like, what's the point, right? But I don't know. I felt when he showed up, I wasn't like, oh shit. I was like, oh, so that's where we're going again. That's just me. All right, next up, we have Gods, issue number 7. Okay. As an individual issue, and if I were to look at this issue as an independent comic, this issue slapped. It was really cool, especially with a character that we know little about and we got more backstory about. As an issue that deals with, or as an issue that is being presented as this game-changing, storytelling, story-changing, narrative-changing concept, I have a problem with it. So let's talk about the positives. Art, great. Story, awesome. Kind of understanding who these characters are and what they're dealing with and how they got into the positions that they're in. Awesome. But I will ask chat, I will ask you guys again, and I will ask the comic book community again. What is the point of this? I still don't understand the importance of this. Like, why am I still reading this when I'm being told that these books are so important to the Marvel comic book universe? Yet when I read them, I still don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand the significance of it. And I'm sure that I'm playing into some kind of narrative that's like, haha, silly reader, like you'll know in the end, and I'm sure I will. But like when you ask us to spend $5 to $6 an issue, and then the marketing is like, hey, this is core to what's going to happen in the Marvel comics for the next 10 to 15 years. I'm not seeing it. And I get frustrated with it because, like, again, as an individual issue, and if I were to look at this as an independent comic, this was a really cool. Like, I really enjoyed this issue. I thought it was badass. Like, I was like, damn, like that's some heavy shit. Spoilers, Dimitri, like, basically his parents get sent to space and they get lost in like an interdimensional offshoot of space. Then Dimitri goes as an adult, goes and finds them and brings them back to Earth, and he literally has mere seconds with them before they disintegrate because that's not how time works, and they end up just disappearing. They turn into dust. And then he goes back and tries to find his dad, and then he gets stuck in that dimensional portal. So, like, big deal, right? Pretty cool. Yeah, Holden, it's a one-man show because Nate is at a concert tonight. So we it's been planned. It's just the other one wasn't, but things got in the way. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I like what we're doing, but I don't know what we're doing, and that's making me to not like what we're doing because I still don't get it. And I'm sure when we get to this whole thing, through this whole thing, I'm sure there'll be this big aha moment. But like, that's a lot of trust. That's a big ask for readers. So I don't know, man. I'm teetering on the edge, even though we're very close to the end of it. It just kind of stinks to, like, I don't want to do that when it comes to Hickman books. They will filter these characters around like the TVA and the MCU. Yeah, you're totally right, Stefan. Jaden, because I thought God sucked until I read all of them together. Now I love it. It feels like it's building to something, but it's a mystery. Right on. My pick of the week was Something's Killing the Children this week. Love that we're going to get some sort of stories instead of starting a new arc that will take 2 years to complete. Nice. Yeah. Joe, halftime question. I read an article, Bleeding Cool. It says that DC got in a big trouble for using AI art on some of the covers. What's your opinion on AI art in comics? Well, I remember seeing that controversy, and I think the artist came out and said that they didn't. But again, like, we can't really say, yes or no, right? Because I mean, there's clear ways of seeing if there's AI art being used or not. When it comes to comics, I think I'm on the side of I don't want to see that, but at the same time, no, I don't want. I mean, that's tricky, right? Because, like, no, it sucks. Like, there's a way to obviously argue every side, but I don't think when it comes to comics, unless it's like and this is like on the edge, right? Unless it's the actual artists experimenting with AI with their own work, then I guess it's okay. But I just don't, I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. And especially with this channel, like, on our thumbnails, I have generated AI work for our two faces. And I've used the same one over and over and over again. And I ran, I generated them. But I had to learn how to prompt it, right? But we're not selling that, I used it for our thumbnails. So when it comes to putting it on a cover, I don't know. That's tough, right? Because, like, the whole idea of AI art shouldn't, there's a lot of people that don't like it because it's taking away work from artists. So I just think I think it's a no. I think it's a no. But I don't know. It's a tricky situation because a lot of people do use AI art. I don't know. I think for the comic book purposes, I think DC fucked up. I think they should have, if it is indeed an AI art cover, and they didn't like specifically ask the artist to do that, then yeah, I think that's wrong. But I don't know. John, as an artist, AI art is something that we're going to have to figure out. It's a tool that's going to be there whether we like it or not. I want to embrace it, but we have to figure out the ethics. I agree, John. Because I mean, I've seen some cool stuff that has been generated from AI art. But again, the ethics of it. You know, what is the source? What's the source material for the art? Has there, you know, it's just there's a whole litany of things that need to be asked about it. We could go on forever about it. But I think yeah, that's the other thing. If it's AI produced, it needs to be cited as AI produced. Now, I've seen a lot of it, so I can tell you it's pretty easy to at least I think it's pretty easy to kind of detect and see like that's AI art. There's a lot of tells and giveaways, but man, that's hard. As for Dimitri, or let's see. Side note: look at all the swords in the chat. Warm in my heart. Right on, John. Yeah, it's great. I love seeing the swords, and I think the next emote's a helmet. The next month or coming up. I would like any AI art to be clearly cited as AI produced. I can see it helping with deadlines, and we can keep the same art on the book full. Now, if it gets good enough, maybe, right? Some people like AI art. Me personally, I prefer old school art, just more enjoyable. It literally takes in other artist styles from that person gaining, and I don't like it. The idea of it used in comics. If DC used AI, I'd be very disappointed. Jaden, I totally see what you're saying, and I kind of agree with you. But don't be surprised if it happens, especially with these. I mean, dude, look at the writer's strike and the Actors Guild strike. Like, one of the biggest talking points that they were trying to essentially like get away from and try to stifle off was AI. You know, because they see it infiltrating their industry right now. And I could totally see executives at DC and Marvel saying, hey, you know, it'll start small, right? Like right now we got this cover situation, but I bet you'll see AI generated comics on the app, on their apps. You know, these unlimited series. And we won't know, like, unless they feel like they have to. I bet we won't even get that whole, you know, this is an AI generated product. I don't know, man. Like, don't be surprised if it happens. If they can find a way to generate something that looks as good or just as close as good to what their artists produce, I guarantee you they'll do it. Like without hesitation, without any moral compass or anything, they'll do it. I guarantee you. Just saying. I use AI art to help create visual references. It's super fun in Photoshop to use generative fill. Generative fill in Photoshop, and I have used generative fill in Photoshop because I am also a creative. I do art direction and creative direction and video and stuff, and all that. And I have generative fill is wild. It is wild. Was there a big rattle when art went digital? There was. I remember that. I remember when the app came out and everyone was like, what? You know, comics on your iPad, and people lost it. But I think this is different. This is a completely different thing. I think, in my opinion, especially with my work that I do, like I do a lot of video work, and with video work, you know, there are all these tools out there that allow people to essentially become video editors, but you still have to understand the tool. You still have to understand the concepts. And in my brain, the way I look at AI for my job is that it makes what I know 10 times easier to get things done even quicker. Like, for instance, AI for caption building. Like, there are AI generative caption tools within Premiere that make creating captions for videos that I create 10 times easier. Outside of kind of editing, you know, fine tuning the text that's been prompted. But dude, like, before that came out, dude, making captions for videos, awful. There's another AI tool for video editing where it'll take out all the ums and ahs for you. Dude, that is a fucking godsend for video editing. And so like for me, when I see like these, you know, I get asked all the time on other professional forums, like, how do you, you know, how are you dealing with all these new tools that deal with video editing? I was like, I'm thriving. You know, they're making my job 10 times easier, so I'm able to actually be more effective and get out more work. So I'm happy about it. It's just on all how you use it. If you use it as a tool and use it as something to help you, then you're going to make it work in your benefit. But when it comes to like, I think when it comes to artwork, if you're using it as a main image to promote the product that you're selling, I think there's more questions to be asked, and rather than just kind of trying to slip it under the rug and make sure hope that no one notices. I think that's kind of shady as shit. So it's all about the ethics, right? Let's see. There's still a photo who hate Photoshop. Yeah, right. AI doesn't touch real artists like Delato. I agree, Jason, for sure. There's no reason to stop it. May as well try to stop the internet. As long as it's properly cited, I have no problem with it. Right on, Holden. 100% different with digital. You use tools, and AR is literally other art styles. Yep. All valid. Everything that we're saying is valid. I agree. Teach high school photo, and I'm trying to teach kids to use it as a tool and not a crutch. It's not even with just art. It takes people's faces, voices. It's messed up. Yeah, yeah, you're right, Jaden. There's some, and that's the thing. I think the other thing about AI is like you really have to be willing to learn from it and how to use it and or not to use it and how to detect it, because that shit's scary. And I've seen, like, I remember when OpenAI released their generative video, and like I can see how someone who is just watching it at a glance, or one who doesn't care to understand or to really give a shit that it's AI generated, to be like, oh, that's real. And like I watch it and go like, that's fucking fake. Like it looks good, but there are things about it that just don't make sense. And that's where it gets kind of weird. Things really are crazy. Even 10 years again, 10 years again, we have come a long way. Yeah, it's only going to get quicker. It's only going to get faster. So understand it and try to use it into your benefit and make it as a tool. Man, we just turned this show into like a podcast, into like a discussion forum about AI. We couldn't do half the stuff at all. You're correct. It's so easy to abuse AI. 100%. All right, let's move on. Let's get on to it. Let's DC, don't do that. X-Men, Rise of the Powers of X, issue number 4. It was good. I think Karen Gillan is really building to a very monumental, epic conclusion. I just hope it lands. It's really hard. It's just hard. It's hard to understand. Not to understand. There's a lot going on here with a mixture of Karen Gillan and Hickman's work, and I enjoy it. But I think anybody that read this that is just a casual X-Men reader, they are completely and utterly lost. But we have, a continuation of Xavier just being this treacherous person, but in the end is still somewhat the savior. It's gray. If like there was one word to really, if there's one word to really describe what's going on in the X-Men comics, is gray. Like, we don't know what's up, what's down, who's right, who's wrong. We just know that Xavier wants his mutants to live. And if he has to sacrifice humans, he's going to do it. He's going to, and I don't know. I don't know how it's going to end. I mean, it has to, it's going to end with Krakoa not, Here's the question. Will the Krakoa timeline and everything that we've done in this book still have some form of figure in the new X-Men books, or will it be a complete time wipe reset? And at this moment, as I read this book, I think there's a 50-50 shot that Krakoa sticks around. I'm not saying that the never dying is still on the table. I think that gets taken off. But I feel like we're not going to lose the memory or this timeline, if that makes any sense. Could be wrong. You know, it's not like they haven't done that before. They have. But I just feel like as of reading this book, there's a 50-50 shot that we still remember and understand what happened during the Krakoan era. But then there's also a shot that it gets completely wiped. What does that? It's obviously going to be the Phoenix. That's what we've been leading up to with Jean. Like, we know that's coming. So we'll have to wait and see. Overall, I did like the book. It felt epic. It felt like reading a movie. And it's got me, it has me genuinely excited for what the ending will be. I just hope it sticks. I hope the landing sticks and we're having a good time and we're not going like, well, that was kind of a bummer. All right, let's get on to McKay's X-Men, right? Like, I just hope we stick the landing. We stick the landing. And I know that's a hard ask, right? Because we've been just doing this forever and running in loops. And, Rasputin gets killed in this book and I was fucking pissed. And then she shows up in the white hot place. I'm like, oh, thank God. Right? But at the same time, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I agree, Jaden. Xavier is exhausting. I liked it. I thought it was fun. For me, Rise is a lot better than Fall. I think Fall is just like spiraling in a death spiral, like get me out of here kind of thing. So I don't know. The fact that no one could truly die was what turned me off to this story arc, even though in the comics no one really is dead. Just with no consequences, it got old. I hear you, Jason. I think the initial idea was really cool, and then as the X Office stretched the idea, it just kind of got under and / overwhelming at the same time. At least that's how I'd say it. I wonder what Al Ewing will bring to the final Krakoa issue. He's on 300. We'll see. Speaking of, we got this filler, this kind of filling in the spots issue here from Karen Gillan with the X-Men Forever. That's basically what we did here. We find out how, a little bit more of what they were doing to Jean before they set her on fire to resurrect the Phoenix. We got a little bit more understanding that Xavier and the rest of the people in the White Hot Room are in cahoots, and that he's not as much of a deceiver as we're getting. Like, this has kind of been a plan. Rachel gets clued in. There's just a lot going on. Oops, sorry. So, it is what it is. Again, is this necessary? Not really. Is it fun to have? Sure. But you don't need to read it. But it does give you a little bit more insight to some of the decisions that are being made in Fall, in just this whole idea of ending the Krakoan era. So, who is the backbone of the Krakoa era? Hickman, Gillen, Duggan, or Percy? Well, there are a lot of bones in the back, right? When you say backbone. So if I had to pick, it's obviously Hickman and then Gillen. That would be how I would look at it, specifically with Gillen towards the back end. I think Gary Jerry had the task of just kind of getting people excited for the ending of X-Men, and now he's clearly spiraling out because he doesn't want to do it. I will say Ewing would be a surprise third backbone because he's done some really cool stuff for sure. But that would be my answer to it. Jim, since we're on the X-Men, what's your review on this week's X-Men 97? Fucking awesome. Awesome. X-Men 97 for me has been just an absolute treat. And it does everything that really good comics do, which is it feels like a comic. It watches like a comic. And the thing that I love about the show the most is it does what McKay and Rainbow Rowell do with their comics, which intrigues you to do some research after you've read/watched it. And it's enjoyable to do. So when we got the reveal of this character at the end of 97, who is this like humanoid sentinel guy, and I'm like, who is that? You know, obviously I went on to social and everyone's like, it's this guy. And I was like, oh, cool. And I dived into it and I read more about him. I even contemplated getting the Marvel app and going and reading the issues that he's involved. I can't remember his name. Starts with a B. But like, I'm stoked. Like I am so excited for X-Men 97. And I'm incredibly eager to see how the series ends, and then obviously we're getting a season 2 fairly quickly because they've already produced it. And then I've heard that Kevin Feige's like, yeah, 3 and 4 are already like, we're doing it, like we are doing it. I even read somewhere that he's like basically like he loves the storyline that's being produced in X-Men 97 to the point where like he wants to make it canon. How you do that, don't know, but am I here for it? 100%. I don't know, man. It's dope. I loved it. Wednesdays are a fucking treat for me because I obviously like I watched 97 and that's great. And I am very excited to watch that. And then I'm a big New Heights podcast guy. So like my Wednesdays are stacked for content. So like I'm watching and listening to a lot of shit. And then I believe Wednesdays Sword AF season 2 from Smosh drops, Smosh Games. So like I have a ton of content to just listen to and watch on Wednesdays. It's so good. Wednesdays, and then obviously it's New Comic Book Day. So like there's a ton of stuff on Wednesdays for me to consume. It's great. He's got $100 total. Damn. Percy has this largest run of them all, and I don't like his run. Super random, but sick. All my Coke cans have Deadpool on them. That movie is going to be sick. Also, here Deadpool 3 is a different thing. Deadpool 3, I think, is going to be amazing. The one thing that does frustrate me about it is like people are like, oh, Marvel's back with Deadpool. I'm like, Marvel never went anywhere. You guys just didn't like the content that they were pushing, but they've still been good. There have been some misses, but not all of it's been bad. The whole Deadpool Wolverine movie looks completely batshit, and I'm here for it. 100% Patty. Ewing arrived late to the party and made the best X-Men content with Araco stories. 100%. I like that. Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. All right, our last Marvel book of the night, and that is Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 4. Some of y'all's pick of the week here in the chat. I did like the issue. I liked the take on the characters. I hear Deadpool 3 isn't Wolverine and Deadpool. Really? So he's just in it for a little bit? Oh shit. Has to be. Can't take another L. I think he'll be in it. I think he'll be pretty integrated into it. Where are you hearing that? Where are you hearing that Wolverine is not in Deadpool 3, or isn't Wolverine in Deadpool? I'd love to hear that, or where that is, because I want to know. As for this, I liked it. Yeah, it isn't the smash and grab that all the other issues have been. Was not terribly displeased with the new artist. I thought he did fine. There were a couple like single panels that were kind of weird, but other than that, I thought it was great. I do like the take on the characters with Harry and Gwen. And even though it annoys me, I still love it, is just this impending doom. You know, Peter can't have everything, right? And like, we know it's coming, right? Right, chat? We know that it's coming. That something bad is going to happen here, whether it's to MJ or his kids or to his uncle or something. Like, it's gonna happen. It's built into the DNA of the character. So it's really like, how long can we be here, right? Enjoying our time as Spider-Man learns to be Spider-Man. I don't know. I loved it. I thought this was a great issue. No, like Deadpool and Wolverine is a separate movie series, but I don't know. Oh, I see what you're saying. We'll see. I've been absolutely loving the new Ultimate Spider-Man run. It's been a breath of fresh air. Looking forward to seeing where it goes. Joe, Ultimate Spider-Man is super solid for a book that has nothing but talking, but Hickman did it in a way for me to be sucked in. It's like, that's what we're talking about. Gods is kind of the same way, right? But this is Hickman fan service. This is what he does best, I think. I mean, I say he does best. He does the other thing well too. It's just, do you want to be invested, right? Just looked it up. It's definitely isn't the third. Very interesting. For an engaging Spider-Man comic that is just double date, Harry said the great power line is so he's toast. There it is. There it is. All right, let's check this thing out here really quick that you sent. Let's check it out. Go to site. Director Sean Levy says Deadpool and Wolverine movie is not Deadpool 3. This is a two-hander character adventure. I see what you're saying. So it's not Deadpool 3. It's not a continuation of that movie. Interesting. Clarifies though the film features Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool and Marvel movie is not to be called Deadpool 3. Filmmaker explained that the recent interview why the movie, which is also stars Hugh Jackman reprising his role of Wolverine, is not Deadpool 3 despite being the third Deadpool movie. As far as crafting Deadpool and Wolverine story, I felt a privilege every day because talking about two massive movie stars and more iconic roles. It also gave me an opportunity that is the third Deadpool movie, but it is not Deadpool 3. It's a different thing. That's very much Deadpool and Wolverine. It is not trying to copycat anything from the first two movies. They are awesome, but this is a two-hander character adventure. Got it. Yeah, I see what he's saying. Interesting. All right. You think JJJ is about to be bad? Maya Parker seems to be foreshadowing him to be bad when she says she doesn't like him. Anything is possible, right? Hickman literally can do whatever the fuck he wants in this book, so we'll have to wait and see. I'm loving it, though. This has been a great series, which I'm not surprised that I'm saying that. All right, my last book of the night, Green Arrow issue number 11 from Williamson. As a standalone issue, as a kind of a backstory for Merlin, I thought it was fine. I actually it was very enjoyable. And now I'm about to go on a rant. You know, we're getting into this phase with DC where they're about to do this Amanda Waller big summer event that's going into all these books, including books that we're reading on the show. And I just and chat, roast me if I'm out of line here. But are any of y'all like excited for this Amanda Waller storyline? Like specifically with like what we know what the direction DC's going in. Like, I hate to say it, but I've been saying it for a couple weeks now, but like DC for me just doesn't feel like it's firing on all cylinders. As an individual issue, I thought this issue was fun. But the Amanda Waller bit of it, and knowing that like she's gonna be just like the driving force for all of it, like I'm not scared. I'm not excited about Amanda Waller and her like ego of trying to control everything. I just don't care. Yeah, I just feel like DC like needs a reset. And I'm not saying like it's because I want to see Justice League. I'm not saying that. But like all of our characters in the DC universe just feel lost in my opinion. They just don't feel cohesive. They feel scattered, and in their individual books they're fine. But when we mention the Justice League or we mention this or that, like it just doesn't, to me, it doesn't feel exciting. And I think if there's a person to really, if there is a duo within DC that I think should just flick the reset and just go, it's Mark Waid and Dan Mora. Just saying. So that's just me. Like, I liked the issue. I think it was cool to kind of see like a backstory with Merlin and Queen. Thought that was cool. But as for like moving the summer plot, I am not interested. And that sucks. That's the second summer in a row where I'm just like, DC's kind of meh for me right now. That's just me personally. Kinda want to see how much worse stuff she can do, but I don't really think it'll be much. Like that's like right there, like I just feel like DC's in trouble. Like I feel like they're not trouble. They're just kind of like, yeah, we're over here. You'll read it. Yeah, we know you'll read it. Like that's how I feel like that's the attitude with DC right now. In my opinion. I wish Nate was here. I'm sure he'd completely smash me about that, but that's just where I'm at with that. Dowie. All right, guys, it's going to be a little bit shorter of a show, obviously, because I'm running slow a little bit. Solo. But Nate will be back next week, so we will have a 2-man crew flying this plane next week live this Sunday. But I do appreciate every single one of y'all who jumped on the show and watched this live, and I appreciate every single one of you that are watching this as a past episode. Please, thank you so much. Why did I say please? Thank you so much for watching. You guys will have a new comic book day video this Tuesday where we'll talk about some pretty interesting pulls and getting ready for that free comic book day that'll launch that Saturday on May the 4th. So that'll be cool. I don't know if we'll do a free comic book day video or not, but we may just tease it in the new comic book day video. But we'll wait to see what happens there. And then we'll be live again where Nate will be back and we'll be a 2-man show next Sunday, 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, guys. Yep, hit that, like Jaden said, hit that like button, please. It'll be great. Much appreciated if you do. And if you're looking for any merch, go check out our merch. We got some. I'm working on some new designs for some new stickers and shirts, but go check out the shirts and stuff that we have down there right now. It's pretty cool. Got some good stuff there. Catch you guys next Sunday or Tuesday, then Sunday. As always, fam, be kind to one another and read more comics. See you guys later. Have a good night. Bye. Do a short. I like that, Patty. I like that. I'll work on that. I like that idea. Thank you, Patty. Do a short. Always do a short.